Hi, hey everybody. Today is the Chiat Day binder, day number 9. And this one, well, they're all personal to me because Chiat Day inspired me then, inspires me now, and always will inspire me for those qualities of passion, swagger, audacity, and craft, intelligence, and this one today is very special because it marked a special time in my life when I became a car guy for a while. And that's because it was about Porsche. And let's start by saying it the right way. Americans who call it Porsche just makes my skin crawl. Oh, it's an abbreviation. Oh, it's a slang term because you can't say Porsche. Why is it Porsche? Because that's the way you pronounce the family name, Porsche. There's an E there for a reason. Porsche. And if you're one of those people who always want to call it Porsche, get lost. You don't belong here. Now, Chiat Day hadn't had a car brand since Honda. As you know, if you've been following the series, they had motorcycles, but here was a car, and a very special kind of car. It was kind of a lower rung as far as ad agencies. You want one of the big brands, but this was a very special archetypal brand, Porsche. And when you look at the history of Porsche's advertising, Doyle Day and Bernbach had it, for a while. And Helmut Krohn, I think, he even worked on it. And there were these really, really almost opaque art-directed ads that were done in the early 70s, maybe. They were like technical things. And it's like he took a tech sheet and made it look like art. But still, it didn't invite readership. It didn't really speak. It almost said, we dare you to come in. Different time. And when Chiat Day got the business, they really took some classic design cues, a little bit from Apple, but also from newspaper and all, with typography of Franklin condensed and the text Times Roman. Not yet. And if anyone, I'm a pretty good researcher. I used to have a VHS tape, and maybe it's in a box somewhere, from Coast Community College, a series called The Fastest Game in Town, Chiat Day advertising. And if you've ever seen it, and if you have a copy of it, talk to me. If you've ever seen it, it gives a fantastic insight in 1985-86 at Chiat Day. Interviews with Guy Day, and Lee Clow and Steve Hayden and people, and you see meetings with Porsche, John Byrne of Porsche, where they're actually talking about the initial launch of the Porsche campaign. And it is pretty darn insightful. And it's a bit of a show off, where they're showing how they can use their Macintoshes. It's really cute showing Steve Hayden, dragging a headline of a picture scan of a 911 or something, as if this is the way they did the ad. It's so funny. And they even have in the conference room, they're showing type on a television screen, like they're making their presentation from that. And you can see the Viewmatic, 3/4 inch player there and everything. My gosh, they were so intent on looking technological and forward thinking, and they still are in some ways, but that was so cute. So back to Porsche. A car like Porsche is not a rational decision. Even though they give a lot of rational arguments to what it's about, it's really emotional and egoic. You want to be a badass, And what they talk about in the video, I remember to this day. Porsche is poorly used if it's used as a game show prize. It has kind of the razor's edge of notoriety. It's something like what I talked about in work I did for Audi. I talked about Audi being the middle child of German car brands. Porsche is the older brother, like Speed Racer's brother Rex, the one who left home as a teenager and has been on the run, It has sort of like a all on its own badass kind of thing. So what really began was you had people at Chiat Day who got to go to Visach, which is the tech and development center for Porsche, where they really do their thinking. And Penny Capuzos, one of the greatest writers in history, and had the humility about things and the innocence that really brought the beauty of loving words. She claimed she really didn't know anything about Porsche, and that's a good place to start, the innocence. And they got to actually hang out and go there and meet with the designers, meet with the makers and all. And again, as I talked about in an earlier series, you have been watching all of these, I hope. Chiat learned a long time ago that if you couldn't be in a magazine every issue, you produce beautiful inserts, usually printed by George Rice and Sons, and have them stitched into the magazines. Someone's going through the magazine and suddenly, wow, what's this? And you own the viewer's attention like nothing else before. And they decided that worked before for other clients, Apple especially, and they decided to do it again for Porsche. And the thing they launched with was a multi-page thing that started with a 356 Speedster's nose just poking in there. I don't know if it was Mark Kapos shot it. This would have been stuff that Lamb and Hall would have shot years ago, but Kapos was a rising star in the Chiat world. That's why he wanted to do film too. He shot stills so he could do film. And the headline says, in 1948, Professor Porsche, decided any car that merely got you from here to there just didn't go far enough. And you open up the insert and it shows a 911 Cabriolet. It says, in 37 years, nothing has changed. Look at that. Look at that. That was the front page. This is from CA. Look at that. A simple, clear presentation. Clear, easy to read typography that has authority and almost an editorial sort of feel. Because again, Franklin was a famous newspaper font. Look at that. And the first, she deserves to be in the Hall of Fame of Life for writing this first thing. There's a restlessness about Weissach, even in winter. And she'll tell you, and she did say, where did that line come from? An employee at Porsche said it. Probably with a thick German accent. Der Restlessness about Weissach. And that means that person at Porsche was a poet warrior of a type. And she heard that, she remembered it, and it sent her off on writing this. And who knows how many versions she wrote to do this absolutely thing. The other pages that said, fun may be the most important discipline of all. Fun, discipline, see? Oh, look at that. The car is going that way. The road's going slightly that way. Look at that, pointing right into like get in. See? And Professor Porsche expects still more. You know, Lexus had that line, the relentless pursuit of perfection, which is high poetry, but this is practical and visceral. And the rest of the insert said this: how we teach ourselves anything is possible. Porsche racing, and I talked about this before with Yamaha, when they were doing Yamaha. You find the racing heritage, and they did it with Nissan too, if we ever talked about Nissan. You talk about the racing heritage to inform the belief that the car itself is thought of like a race car is. See, how we teach ourselves anything is possible and why we teach ourselves anything is possible. Hey, impossible is nothing. See, the seed is right there. See, I've actually got that. I ripped out of a magazine. See, look at this. I don't care how long this video is. If you believe in writing, look at this. How we teach ourselves anything is possible. Start with the idea that nothing is impossible. Take Wolfgang Berger, for instance. He wasn't always head of quality control at Porsche's production facility in Zuffenhausen. See? We're getting German here, folks. Once he was just a race fan, a 12-year-old kid who would poke his nose through a chain link fence just to get a better glimpse of a pit crew. Every word matters here. He found his way to Porsche the way the best always do, by following his passion for making cars go faster, and by believing it wasn't impossible to be on the other side of that chain link fence. As a part of the racing department, Berger was project manager on the 911 Carrera RS and the RSR. I don't even know what those are, but I know that someone is an authority. Worked on the 934 and 936 race cars. I still don't know what those are, but that tells me there's something behind the story I'm curious about. And assisted Helmut Fleckel with the Can-Am racers. He remembers when the Research and Development Center at Wiesach was just a test track. No canteen, no telephones, passion, sacrifice. This is like Nike. He would bring his lunch and eat on the track while he and the crew put a prototype through its paces. It's on the track that people like Berger learn the simple principles of racing, the importance of teamwork, that if you aren't prepared to start, you aren't prepared to win, and the purpose behind the ongoing pursuit of zero defects. But most important, it is on the track that they learn the value of an attitude, that even the unthinkable is worth a shot. It is the unthinkable, after all, that enables us to dominate Le Mans year after year with race cars like the one you see here. It is the unthinkable that one year drove head designer Tony Lapine to paint our race car purple and green in Paisleys. The Paisley Porsche 917. Look it up. It is the unthinkable that led him some years later to design the car on the following page. And there you go. Why we teach. Oh my gosh. I'm really not a car guy, but I have so much car experience. I've worked on Audi, I've worked on Nissan, I've worked on Smart Car, Volvo. And this one, keeping up with the Porsche 944 has just gone from difficult to impossible. Look at these beautiful things. Look at this in the magazine. You open up and you can open it up and you can open it up. There is a love that is shown in this. There is a swagger and a confidence that kind of says, are you badass enough? Are you cool enough? Oh, one of the best writing jobs. And this was written by another writer. And I'm not sure. Did Ravosky write this or Boucher? The dream of finding one, in a barn. Porsches change. What makes Porsches doesn't change. We spent the last 23 years working on the same idea. And the printing here, George Rice and Sons did. You've got a specific red that is in the printing press too. That's so saturated and so deep. It's as good as a car brochure. We wanted to see how far we could go without changing direction. Oh, God, these are not exactly puns. By the time anyone begins to catch up, we will have moved on again. It's that promise. Many of our future discoveries will be made in this laboratory. I mean, how fast it gets from one place to another has never been the most important measure of a Porsche. How fast has never been the measure. It took us 5 years to get from here to here. What it takes to turbocharge a Porsche, including the turbocharger. See? Turbocharger, he's bolted on and it's turbocharged, right? Well, no, apparently not. How fast it gets from one place to another has always been an important measure. You are in a class of understanding what Porsche is about. After 40 years of constant research and development, we're not about to slow down. See? At Porsche, some of our most important R&D meetings take place in under a minute. They did a commercial like that. But the blur in there, look at, wow. You can't get these. If you find these on eBay, they're not mine. I'm never going to give these up. I hope when I die, someone else finds these and gets inspired to do better advertising. So yeah, they did print ads. Porsche finishes Daytona 10 years ahead of the competition. Porsche finishes Daytona 10 years ahead of the competition. 10 years of victories, right? Oh, gosh. Now that you've read all about this year's Indy, here's what to look for in next year's news. The first time Porsche went to Indy. Oh, my God. Yeah, I was a car guy for a while, and Chiat made me one because, and even when they did Nissan, maybe we'll talk about Nissan, even though it's not really in the binder, we need to talk about Nissan because they still have it, and I'm going to try and wake it up. And like all good things come to an end, Porsche breaks away from Chiat, July 20th, 1987. As expected, Porsche Cars North America told Chiat LA it will put its $15 to $20 million account effective, will pull its account effective October 7th. Porsche executives say that they are still compiling criteria to review new agencies and are not yet entertaining bids. Chiat is sparring with Tatum, Laird, and Kudner, Chicago, for the $150 million Nissan Motor Corp in USA account. So, in other words, one of the great rifts in the history of Chiat, Guy Day, I think, was very definitely one of the combatants. What did it mean to move from Porsche to Nissan, a $15 million account to a $150 million account? What did it mean for income? What did it mean for billings? What did it mean for the employees? What did it mean for Chiat to be up on that size of a playing field with a car account? Maybe we'll talk about Nissan tomorrow. The problem is, Jay Chiat, who I love in all his imperfections, like I love my own imperfections, famously said one time, and it's been repeated, including now, we want to find out how big we can get without being bad. Guy Day had the best repost. He said, the only difference between him and I don't want to find out. You see, there's a healthy fear of sucking. Jay was willing to suck a little bit to find out if it was possible. And that's a line some people won't cross. I won't cross that line either. I mean, I'm willing to risk like Jay, but if I produce anything in the name of money that is less than the best work, I won't do it. I would rather die poor than live a lie. Porsche was as good of advertising of a car brand that you will ever see, that Chiat did. And you know what the great mark of it is? Many people in the industry are confused when they see a great Chiat ad, whether it was Chiat's or Fallon McElligot's. You know why? Because when Fallon McElligott got the account, they didn't change the typography at all. They saw what was great. And the only reason they got that account was that Chiat went after Nissan. Otherwise, they knew Porsche would have stayed with them. They knew Porsche was not unhappy with the work. Porsche probably told them that, being Porsche. It was interesting. The writer who worked on Chiat's Porsche work, she married the client. I hope they're still happy together. I hope so. They should be. But when Fallon McElligott took over the work, they knew they had something perfect that was already there. They just had to continue it, and they did. Slightly different, a little bit more advertising, kind of clever and fun, a little less reverent, you know. So I could argue that Chiat was the most client-focused of all. They embraced that inner culture. They embraced what made Porsche a Porsche, lived it and breathed it, and sweat blood to make sure every single pixel, see back then it was line dots, every single little pixel, every little moment of the brand was perfectly Porsche. Yeah, we'll talk Nissan soon. Well, anyway, I know this one was a little bit longer, but there was a time when I was a car guy, and Chiat lit that fire. Time to light it again, maybe? Who knows? Remember, It's Porsche. 2 syllables.